Merry Christmas. My hair. It's kind of chilly out. Not real cold, but a little bit cold. I guess the air is kind of dry too. So, Merry Christmas. It's Christmas Day 2024. Oh, it's a special time, isn't it? I made a long video yesterday afternoon for Christmas Eve, so I'll try not to make this one so long. But you can always listen to them. I think if you listen to them, videos that are long at about 1.5 times the speed, there's a little button that you can touch on. You can play videos a little faster, and usually about 1.5 speeds, it's perfectly easy to understand. It's actually sometimes easier, really, because when people are just talking randomly, they're kind of slow, or if the people are talking in like an interview, they're kind of slow. And when you listen to it at like 1.5 times speed, it's more about the speed that a person talks when they've practiced something, or when they're reading directly off of something that they've already practiced. So it's usually pretty coherent like that. But you know, it's just important to I don't know, just really reflect on this holiday especially, the meaning of Christ's message. There's a whole story to it, and I think that whole story is very important because Christmas is about the birth of Jesus, and there's a lot of there's a historical story there, and then there's also a story of an evolving process with humanity and Christianity. So as from the time of Christ, it's been a couple thousand years, and the world has changed, but the core principles of Christ being teacher, the word, his name was Jesus, but the Christmas is the Christ. It's very important to understand that Christ means, it's related to teaching. It's a certain kind of title. That doesn't mean specifically teaching, but it's essentially like a spiritual leader or something along those lines. You can look it up and get a better idea of what that word means, specifically why he was the Christ. But yeah, that's that message, that teaching, and as it has evolved in the story of Christmas, the core historical story from the Bible, and then all the elements of Christmas that have come along through time, especially the ones that are firmly related to society accepting Christ. There's other elements of Christmas where people have not, in a Christian way, sort of adopted they've profited off of Christmas in ways that aren't really necessarily that related to the message of Christ. And in some cases, actually, you would say you could almost say like kind of opposite. I mean, opposite's probably not the right word, but counter to the core message of Christ. Some of the things that have happened with commercialization. But then, if you look at that on a bigger scale, maybe over time, that's still a good thing. It all kind of counterintuitive in that way too, is that this commercialization of Christmas, however, it may sometimes take away from the Christmas moment that we're experiencing every year. Over time, though, it may, in a way, ironically, help kind of preserve the message of Christ, especially through times when the world kind of goes through cycles and different things. A lot of times are related to political things where they try to suppress Christianity, and other times Christianity becomes, people wake up to it and they kind of rejuvenate the whole thing. It's a revitalization, and sort of in an ironic way, when there's this economic benefit to Christmas, it sort of it sort of makes they try to do all kinds of funny things, like they try to like take the Christ out of the Christmas and they call it Xmas, or they do other things to try and secularize it, meaning making it just some sort of holiday, which there all are holidays traditionally at this time of year around the winter solstice. That's not, that's just humans recognize the shortest day of the year, and kind of felt like there was something important about that. Christmas is a couple of days after that, but old Christmas was in early January. That they still kind of celebrate that in Ocracoke, or Hatteras. So, but yeah, it's like you can't. It's funny. Human beings are funny. But yeah, you at the end of the day, you still have to tell the story of Christ, and it's such a beautiful and wonderful story. When you hear it, it really touches. When it's said the right way and told with meaning, it really touches your soul, and that's where you want to use that as a way to set your compass, that compass that's inside of you to write, and that the most simple meaning, the most simple message that Christ brought with them was the best and the most pure, right? So you can overanalyze it a lot of times, and just the message of peace and accepting one another and forgiving one another, it goes a long ways. So Merry Christmas. It's a little bit of it's an Outer Banks Christmas day, I think. So it's probably a little bit below average temperature, but not much. It's a little warmer than it was yesterday, and I think we're going to have some warmer weather later in the week. So this is pretty much about what the Outer Banks is supposed to be like in late December. I love you. Merry Christmas.